What is going on, everybody? It's time for another daily NBA show here at the X Factor Sports Talk. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit that like button for all your daily NBA content here at the X Factor Sports Talk. We're so excited to be bringing you yet another daily show. I hope you guys had a happy and safe holiday weekend. Merry Christmas. But now it's time to move on from the holidays. But first, let's dive into the action from yesterday. So the first game was the Philadelphia 76ers on the road to play spoiler in New York. The Philadelphia shorthanded, I might add, shorthanded Philadelphia 76ers go into New York and pick up a win 119 to 112. Joel Embiid continues to do what Joel Embiid does, 35 and 8. James Harden had 29 and 13. And the most interesting, I think, story that came out from yesterday was a potential reunion in Houston for James Harden. I thought the timing of all that was extremely strange. It was like an hour before the tip of the New York Knicks and Philadelphia 76er game. Maybe something that we can dive into in a later day. James Harden based video of should the Philadelphia 76ers move on? Should the Houston Rockets potentially go in and grab him? What do you guys think? Should James Harden want to go back to Houston? Should the Philadelphia 76ers want to move on from Harden? Maybe give Tyrese Maxey the baton and say, hey, you and Embiid are that dynamic duo. So just something interesting there. Maybe we can dive into that at a later day. But yes, the 76ers, Georges Niang off the bench continues to be a pretty solid piece. He has 16. In the Knicks, the left-handed Knicks. I love how many lefties they have. Jalen Brunson, 23 and 11. Julius Randle with 35 and 8. RJ Barrett, terrible night shooting, 6 of 21 on his Christmas debut, but he had 17 points. I don't think it's his Christmas debut, but his Christmas day yesterday. For the bench, still the 9-man rotation. Emmanuel quickly, the only one really eye-popping. But the 76ers walk into New York, kind of controlled the second half really, really well, controlled the fourth quarter on both ends. So good win there for Philly. The second game is the Lakers going on the road to play the Mavericks. They were up 11 at halftime, gave up 51 third quarter points, and ended up falling by 9. The Lakers are really, really bad. One of my buddies was like texting me. He was like, what's wrong with them? And that's a very, very, very long answer, I should say. But to be honest, they don't handle any sort of punch very well. Now, what I mean by that is whenever a team punches them in the mouth, after they give their punch, like the Lakers are good at responding and they're resilient and whatever you want to say, they make games close, yada, yada, yada. But whenever they get punched in the mouth by like a Maverick or a really, really good team that has a really, really good player, they can't respond. They don't have the length, they don't have the defense, they don't have the want to, they don't have the heart to get up off the mat and then fire back a nice punch. You can't go from up 11 to down. I'm pretty sure it was 20 in one quarter. In one quarter, I'm pretty sure it was like 8 minutes. That can't happen. That's terrible basketball. But the Mavericks, Luka 32, 9 and 9. Tim Hardaway Jr. was very, very good in the second half, 26 points. Christian Wood was great, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He's now eligible for a huge deal. I wonder if Dallas is going to give it to him. But the Mavericks are just a really, really fun team. They're built really well around Luka. Who knows what they're going to do, whether bring big people in during trade deadline season or maybe ship some out. They're an interesting team to watch. And arguably, in my opinion, the game I was most excited to watch was the Bucks on the road to play the Celtics. In my opinion, in the Eastern Conference Finals, type of matchup. But the Celtics get the better of them there. Jason Tatum is the MVP of the season. I don't care what anybody has to say to me, whether it be Embiid or Jokic or this guy or that guy. Jason Tatum is the MVP. Shouts out to Caleb for predicting it before the season even started. But Jason Tatum, 41 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, incredible shooting. He's getting to the line. He's getting to the rim. It's like one of those situations where you lose in the NBA Finals. You kind of have that reality check, and then you just get back to work. There's no sort of law. There's no sort of like setback. Like people thought maybe with the Bengals last year making the Super Bowl, they would have a little, sleepover effect. But same thing with the Celtics. They were a young bunch, but no, they grouped together and they are rolling 24 and 10 on the year. But they dominate the Milwaukee Bucks, win by 21 points. Jaylen Brown with 29-5. This team's deep. This team's talented. This team's really, really good. Um, for the Bucks, Giannis was Giannis, 27 and 9. Drew Holiday played pretty well. But outside of that, nobody else really played very well. Joe Ingles, shouts out to him with 11 points off the bench. But the Boston Celtics are probably the best team in basketball right now. And the Warriors win 123 to 109 on Christmas Day. This one had a lot of hype going into it with the Grizzlies, talking a lot of junk about the Western Conference, A, and B, from in the offseason, whenever, John Morant tweeted at Draymond Green and all that stuff, like we're, bulletin board material and stuff. Well, that didn't matter. No Steph, no problem for the Warriors. Jordan Poole, even though he got ejected, had 32 points. Klay Thompson had 24 and 9. Draymond Green with the most Draymond Green stat line ever, 3, 13, and 13. He just kind of continues to be the glue that holds that thing together. James Wiseman in 8 minutes played really, really well. It may not show up on the box score, but he's improving, and I'm really hoping that they trade him so he can try to get under a system that works for him. Kevon Looney is just so perfect for that Warrior system. I don't think James Wiseman's ever going to be that kind of guy, like an elite screen setter, those types of things. He really needs to go somewhere where he can kind of flourish and bloom. And then for the Grizzlies, it was a John Morant show, 36, 7, and 8. Incredible performance on Christmas Day for John Morant. But I think the man that stole the show yet again and continues to just do it, whether it's on Christmas or whether it's just on a random game, in November or February, and that's Nikola Jokic, 41, 15, and 15. Just unbelievable. You can see Jamal Murray as well starting to kind of get his footing. But the name of the game is Nikola Jokic. I mean, 41 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists on 16 of 25 shooting. Like, this dude is so unreal. He's the best big man in basketball to me, and just continues to show why. And if you haven't already, check out that X Factor video for the Denver Nuggets, because Aaron Gordon, 28 and 13, played really, really good ball. In that video, they highlight how important Aaron Gordon is to the Denver Nuggets' success. For the Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton had 22 and 16. Devin Booker got pulled from this game, had a little, I guess a scare with his groin. I'm not really sure what happened there. Hasn't been a ton reported on it, which I don't know if that's a good sign or not. But Torrey Craig, 13 and 7. Chris Paul, 17 and 16. Very good game there. Landry Shamet with 31 and 6. Landry Shamet, man, that dude's such a weirdo. But the Nuggets get a win, 128 to 125. Really good slate of NBA Christmas Day action. I know it got quite a bit of almost I don't want to say hate, because hate's not the right word, but almost there was a lot of people downplaying how good this Christmas Day slate was going to be. But I thought it was pretty good. And then looking ahead to today, we got 7 games to dive into really quickly. The Brooklyn Nets go on the road to play the Cleveland Cavaliers. Give me the Cavs here. I think this is a really good spot for the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell. I think Karis LeVert has a big game against his old team as well. But I think the Cavs stop almost. I'm pretty sure the Brooklyn Nets are extremely hot right now. They could be pretty mad too that they didn't get a Christmas Day game, and they are rolling right now in December. Only one loss on the month. But I do think the Cavs kind of put a little water on their flames today. And the Clippers go on the road to play the Pistons. These teams, man, are just so weird to try to predict, but no Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers. But I am going to roll with the Clippers here. 19 and 15. They're in need of some wins, so I think they get one here. The Miami Heat host the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game that is, by Vegas, almost a pick 'em. It looks like Miami Heat is favored by about a point. I'm going to roll with the Miami Heat. I'm going to go with the Heat. I think that there's a lot of negative energy surrounding the Heat right now. They kind of remind me of the Laker bunch from last year. People thought the Laker bunch from last year was absolutely terrible, but around this time last year, they were hovering around 500. And this group just reminds me of them, like almost, I don't want to say to a T, because they're a lot younger than last year's Laker bunch was. But they just don't play with any sort of heart. You know what I mean? They just kind of go through the motions. If Tyler Hero goes for 40, they might win. If Jimmy Butler decides to play hard, he goes off, they might win. But this team just gets so lethargic. They go through the motions, but I think they get a win here. And then the New Orleans Pelicans host the Pacers, and I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going to go with the Pacers. It's a weird line. The Pelicans are only favored by 2.5 points, and I don't like to, base my predictions on lines. But that's just so weird to me. So I'm rolling with the Pacers. The Bulls host the Houston Rockets in a game that should be rather interesting. The Rockets have kind of turned into an interesting watch. I watched them and the Magic play. It was looks like or December 21st. Really, really good game. It was a close competitive game between two up and coming teams that maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but in the years to come, they could be solid. The Bulls are like almost on the opposite end. They're not very good this year, and there's no real light at the end of the tunnel for them. So I'm going to go with the Rockets, actually. I think they get an upset win. The San Antonio Spurs host the Utah Jazz, and I'm just going to roll with the Spurs. Not really much to talk about here. Jazz are what they are. The Spurs are what they are. The Spurs are on the quest for Victor Wembanyama, but I do believe the Spurs get a W here. And then the nightcap for the game, the only 10 o'clock game, the Portland Trailblazers host the Charlotte Hornets coming off their emotional win in LA just a few nights ago. I do have the Portland Trailblazers coming out on top there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button and stay tuned. We got a lot of NBA action coming out.